Good morning, everyone. I thought I'd spend a few minutes today outlining a few events that are happening in the world. Typically, if this was a regular classroom, I'd start off every single day with this, but with it being an online course, it's a little bit different. So anyway, the first thing I'd like to talk about is the effect of the high school students down in the United States are having on gun control legislation. Florida, which is probably the most pro gun state of all the eastern United States, has brought in some legislation to restrict guns, which is an amazing change. Of all the states, you would not expect this to happen in Florida. And I'm sure lawmakers down there are taking a look at this basic pattern as perhaps one of the motivations for changing their opinion. See this big bulge on the American population pyramid? Well, those are the millennials. Those are the people who are in their 20s. And you'll see that they're actually bigger now than the baby boomers. Now, the baby boomers, who are the ones who are sort of championing this idea of loose gun legislation and allowing for things like AR-15s and so on in the United States. But we have a younger group of people coming up, and they're being very vocal and very proactive now about eliminating those types of guns and having the type of gun legislation that they have. And if these people can get out and vote, I think we can see some dramatic change when it comes to making the United States a safer place with some better gun laws. Next thing I'd like to talk about is about this huge event yesterday with Donald Trump had been warned many times about imposing any tariffs. Now he had originally brought in some tariffs against Canada and a variety of European countries and China on steel and aluminum. And of course, living here in Niagara with Hamilton next door to us, that was a very serious matter for us because it would affect the big steel industry throughout this region. Eventually, though, he exempted Canada from it, but he immediately found out that the Europeans were going to impose tariffs on Harley Davidsons and oranges from Florida and so on. He's since backed down on the tariffs against the Europeans too, but now he's added extra tariffs against the Chinese government. He has a variety of different reasons for doing this, whether you think they're justified or not. Doesn't really matter because in the end, the big concern is that this is going to create a trade war. As Donald Trump continues to bring in more and more tariffs, it means that other countries will respond in kind and add tariffs of their own. Chinese have already announced that they're planning a variety of tariffs on American food and wine imports into China, and that was in response to the ones of regarding regarding steel, and they haven't even responded to these new set of tariffs. And as a result, the stock markets, especially here's the New York stock market, has gone for a wild ride. This is the announcement about the tariffs on steel against Canada and Europe, and a little bit against China. And you can see the big drop in the stock market. And then yesterday, I think it was the fifth largest drop in the stock market in recorded history, happened yesterday. We'll see what happens on the markets today as the world gets very concerned about a global trade war. And the last thing is the big change in the cabinet down in the United States. Up to this point, there's been quite a few people in the Trump cabinet who have been very hesitant about taking an aggressive stance against Iran or North Korea. And there's been a significant change in a lot of positions recently. The most significant, I believe, happened yesterday with replacement of this guy, Mr. Mattis, and being replaced by Mr. Bolton. Now, it's funny, later on in the course, you're going to actually watch a video about Bolton and his opinion on the United Nations. To say that he has a rather extreme view would be putting it lightly. I think he said that he thought that he could get rid of 15 stories of the UN building in the UN building in New York, and it wouldn't make a lick of difference. And the UN's only purpose is to do whatever the United States wants. He was later appointed to be the UN ambassador for the United States. And under his leadership, he helped bring the United States into war against Iraq based upon the idea that they thought they had weapons of mass destruction, which they didn't have. He has spoken very vocally about attacking Iran and attacking North Korea preemptively. So he's very hawkish on the use of military, and so this has got a lot of people alarmed too. So all of these things I know are related to the United States, but of course, the United States being the elephant next door, every single move that the United States makes tends to rock the boat quite a bit here in Canada and across the globe. So just a few things for you to think about.